I know I've been putting the wigs back on for this series. Hey everyone. This is a potential mother. Hi everybody. So we're obviously back with a new Drag Race review. I'm so happy to be back. Thank you all so much for sending me love and everything through the craziness of the last week. Address the elephant in the room. Yeah, I got cut from the 2K press day. No idea why, but things are in movement. I'm hearing things are going well, so I'm just gonna sit back and do my tea because I know I'm a great creator. And I don't know what's happening, but somebody randomly commented because I put out my new press kit because I was like, let's do new beginnings. Let's do like new, like I want new opportunities because obviously I got cut from something that I was very passionate about. And they were like, you posted your press kit and think you're gonna be hired after 2K just laid you off. Like you think you're somebody. And I was like, well, let's look at what I posted and what you commented under. I've worked with like 30 gaming development companies, not just 2K. Like, I've worked with all of these. I've worked with Xbox, Bethesda, uh, Capcom, Bandai Namco, Trixie Cosmetics, like all of these different places. And I'm like, did you open the schools? I was like, girl, I I am somebody. No shade. I just want more. I want it all. That part. Okay, so that was just an elephant in the room I wanted to address. And we'll address it actually in another video because I want to like do like an update little thingy. But we're going to talk about Drag Race today. Oh, before we talk about Drag Race, let's talk about what y'all are watching. I've been watching Dance Moms, and I said that in the last video, I think. I think there's lipstick on my teeth. No, I'm just yellow. Um, I've seen that Yellow Jackets is back. I've seen that White Lotus is back. I've seen a bunch of people talking about Severance. So what should I be watching? Because that's a lot of series. I'm like, so which one do I catch up on? Let me know in the comments if y'all are watching it on YouTube, because hi YouTube, but we're on Twitch right now. What do y'all, are any of y'all watching those shows? They're like, I would say the popular ones right now. And then there's Traders and Drag Race, and it's like, what are we really gonna watch? That's a lot. Is only 2 seasons. Very good. Well, I'll take your word for it because I suggest things for you to watch. I listen. I Oh, and Squid Games came out a couple weeks ago, huh? And then but that's I'm not watching that until June because the season 3. So I'm like we can pump the brakes on that because I'm not really like gonna watch something and like it's like continued in whatever. Sorry, I'm wearing a caftan, but I shaved my legs like I did like Nair, so I want you guys to see my legs. I don't know. I had this like idea for like I have this caftan for like around the house, but I was like, let me dress it up and like put accessories on it or whatever. I don't know. I don't think it really worked out, but I wanted to try something new. Try something new. You want some cherry pie? Sorry, that's a deep cut. And I didn't say sherry pie. She's redacted. Fuck her, weirdo. Do you see people are like commenting like she's like on social media and has like gigs? I'm like, freak. Anyway, let's talk about Drag Race. Let's talk about. Not that I agree with this, but have you seen on TikTok people are like, this is the most untalented season of Drag Race ever? I'm like, oh my god. Like, oh, y'all hate it that bad. I'm like, well, yes, it's not great, but untalented is literally crazy. Let me start this video also with the well, let me first also say I know this video started or whatever, but I'm okay. I'm taking a hiatus. I'm taking a break. Thank you all for supporting and loving and reaching out. Really appreciate it. Taking a break. It's going well. I have people visiting. I have family, friends, and everybody over. I'll be back around my birthday. And if you're watching this video and you love my content and you want to support me, everybody's like, Nem, how can we support you? What can we do? My birthday is coming up. Throne wish list. You can buy me a present, and if you buy me a present, I can possibly wear it for my birthday stream. because all I want is clothes. So if you want to do that, Throne Wishlist has video games that I want to stream. It has outfits that I want to wear. They're range from like $20 to $60, whatever you want to do if you want to buy me a birthday present. And it's all safe. So just wanted to start with that because I literally forgot the other day. I was like, my birthday is like in 2 weeks. And I forgot. I don't have anybody asking me, hey, Nem, what are your plans? What are your birthday plans? You want to go to dinner? What do you want for your birthday? I have literally nobody doing that. And I'm like, my birthday is March 11th. So we are like 16, 17 days away. Yeah, it's Gaga release week. And then also the new Fortnite stuff gets added during my birthday week. The Super Styles. Ding! Sorry, my chair is right here and it's like clipping. Okay, let's talk about the episode. Very excited for y'all to be in the chat. If you guys are on YouTube and want to be in the chat, we do these on Saturdays. I've been on the worst sleep schedule of my life because I'm very not well in the head. So these are on Saturdays, usually towards the evening. So you can come to twitch.tv/nemesisnetwork. Come join the stream, hang out, and be in the chat. But I know some of you lurkers like to lurk, and that's totally fine and valid on YouTube. So thank you for watching. Okay, let's talk about the episode. We'll go through the rusical, and then we'll talk about the performances with the outfits. I wish the intern did a different order so we would stop going in alphabetical order because it just gets kind of tired, but we'll do it this way. And then next week we'll start at the end of the line or whatever. I guess it'll be different because, spoiler alert, she goes home, but whatever. Let's talk about the rusical in general. How did y'all feel about the Wicked musical? I thought it had a lot to hold up to. I was watching another reviewer. You can probably guess who because I'm a patron for their website. But they had one for Philippines that was better. So they had a lot to hold up to. And because I love Drag Race Philippines, it's like the best franchise other than American Drag Race. And if you're not watching Drag Race Philippines, honestly, you're missing out. I think it's the best international season ever. I thought the musical was okay. I just didn't think, like, we'll get to it. I don't have images to provide for you, but when we get to some of the contestants and their outfits they got provided, I was like, this is literally the defining, like, how you define theater. I just got a theater outfit and they provided it. Like, Susie's outfit was like, okay, we did the face paint backstage in under 20 minutes. And we did the ugly ass outfit and that really floppy, crappy witch hat. I was like, oh, this is giving theater realness. Like, you literally are a theater kid. Like, this is what would happen in the theater. Whatever. Let me not be a hater. You know what? I will be a hater because I don't really give a fuck anymore. You know what? New beginnings, new chapter. I can say whatever the fuck I want. Right. Fuck it. Acacia in the workroom, those booty shorts. Every week they've been getting smaller and smaller. I'm like, oh, great heavens. I'm like, hi. I just love gay boys. I'm it's embarrassing. Did you know Acacia wears all that blush because her boyfriend has a makeup brand? And it's like a low-key, high-key, like, buy our makeup. Kind of cute, but also like, get the gay people off my screen. I'm not watching that. Stop being gay. Just kidding. Don't stop being gay because we're living in Trump's America. Whatever. I'll say someone said Acacia out of drag looks like Sam from Stardew Valley, and I agree. You mean the drunk? Oh, that's not. Oh, who is that's Shane. Me being like, oh, that's not, when literally the 5 minutes I played in Stardew Valley, I fell in love with the drunk guy. So what now? Anyways. I need like a tissue. Something. I use my caftan. I don't know why my nose is watery. Whatever. I thought this outfit was one of her best. I'm like sad because I feel like she's doing better every week, and I was really warming up to her. And then as soon as like I was like I'm a stan, she gets sent home, and I'm like I don't think she was gonna win by any means. Like don't get me wrong. Honestly, it's crazy that I literally fell in love with her more than I did with Crystal Envy. No shade to her, but like something about Acacia, like I love that she has a signature brand. Like she's very like 80s, 70s, like retro fashion. She loves like I can immediately recognize her makeup, even if it's sometimes we don't agree with it. I like that she has like all the retro hair. She has a point of view that I really like more and I was really resonating with. And maybe that's because I have a crush on her out of drag, but like I was warming up to her and I actually really liked her. Honestly, at the release, you could have told me like early out or whatever, like first out, and I'd be like, yeah, she's first out. Like she's boring. But like as the season went on, I was like, oh, I actually am literally in love with her. Like she's amazing. Not her getting sent home on the anniversary of her grandmother's passing, the 1 year. RuPaul is nasty. Thank you, BKB, for resubscribing. Also, thank you, Lee Dawson, for subscribing again. I appreciate it. I saw it earlier. I personally will get there. I don't think she should have went home, but I'm biased. I thought it was she played the straight man again. But like she didn't in the first skit. Like when she played in that the Saturday Night Live parody, she did she was funny. But like she played the straight man in this. Like she played Dorothy. Like what was she supposed to do that was like funny? I mean, I don't think it was good. And I also don't think she should have chose the lead because hello, you're choosing the lead. You're probably gonna go home because if you flop, you flop. And the ballad, I feel like the ballad wasn't written to be good. Like honestly, I feel like there's so many rookie mistakes on the show, and I don't mean to be like rude because I obviously haven't got on the show and I don't know what it is, but like when you read the script, why wasn't everybody fighting for Glinda? That was clearly the winning performance. Like, why was it just Corey and Jules? I'm like, that was the winner of the night, or Cher. Like, that's how you win. And everybody was like beefing over the other parts. I'm like, whatever. And I wouldn't have picked this one. I would not have picked the lead. But I do like her outfit. I really like the architecture of the top. I also like when she like was taking it off during the lip sync. Also in the lip sync when she took off the hat and it was a parasol, I was like, why did you not do that on the runway? Like that was so fierce. I just like her as the show progresses and I'm sad that she's gone. I thought this was really chic. I honestly thought the like panier on the bottom could have I know it's supposed to be sheer, but I think the black reads more gray for the bottom of the dress, and I wish it was like more of a black tone. So like then the nude was like kind of see-through, I guess, because it kind of like I wanted it to like completely match, you know. But that's just my tea. I would wear this. This is gorgeous. I love the way it was. Yeah, more contrast, definitely. I'm sad she's gone. I really liked her. My baby's gone. I don't know what that's from. What is that from? What is that from? Anyway. I thought she could have been in the bottom. I'm gonna be so honest. Like, I love her. I literally her run. They're keeping her for her runways. They're keeping her for the critiques of fashion. They're keeping her for that. She did the same exact thing she did in the Saturday Night Live challenge as what did she play? The Scarecrow. You heard the inflection of her voice. It went to the whoa! I was like, really? And to me, the Scarecrow is more like goofy, but like there's a sense of like I know the Tin Man is more like that, but I feel like the Scarecrow is goofy and like ditzy and like literally blonde. Like I don't know. I feel like there could have been more something better to the performance because it was literally the same exact comedy number as it was when she was in the bottom and got sent home. Listen, her attitude sucks, but she's great. Like she's entertaining us. I don't agree with what she's saying, but I'm entertained. Yeah, but see, this is before they saw Wicked. This was before. They filmed this before Wicked came out in theaters. I guarantee you these girls did not know that. Like they did not know who the Scarecrow is, who Nessa Rose is, who Alphaba is, and like all of these things. Like I guarantee you they didn't know. Because I didn't know until Wicked came out and then I did a deep dive and like read the book. But I guarantee you they just like were like, "Oh, I'm playing a scarecrow." But they could have done some research. But that's my tea. Um I feel like the I feel like this would have I feel like the musical would have done better if they would have seen Wicked before. Is that crazy? Like I feel like it would have done so much better because I feel like some of them just have never seen Wicked before. And they didn't get to see it because they filmed this. Yeah, they didn't see Wicked because Wicked came out in November and this was filmed over the summer. Maybe they did have them watch it. I don't know. I would love to ask them that at like a Roscoe's or something. I agree. I agree, Liz. I agree. Totally. I mean, when you get the call for Drag Race, everybody's like, "I was so rushed." I'm like, "You quit your job, drop everything, go watch Golden Girls, go watch Wizard of Oz, do some research on some old celebrities so RuPaul will laugh at you in Snatch Game and prepare." Like everybody's like, "I had like 2 weeks to prepare." Mama, 2 weeks is a lot of time. You stay up all night, you get no sleep, you sleep on that plane to LA. Like what? And it doesn't even have to be like that. You could literally look up a TikTok and it will summarize the entirety of the Golden Girls. You could look up a TikTok and it will summarize the entirety of Judy Garland's career. You know what I mean? I mean, like, a perfect example of going on the show and, like, not watching everything is Lux Noir London. Like, Miss Thing literally just watched Drag Race and educated herself. And she did well. Like, everybody just, like, acts like it's a chore to go on Drag Race. Like, do your homework. Everyone's bringing DVDs of Corn to their hotel rooms, but no copies of Wizard of Oz or Golden Girls. No, like, or get magazines, or like bring the books, or so. Like, I just feel like nobody's taking Drag Race seriously. I don't think we should, but like, when it comes down to it, I think this season is getting a lot of flack because there's a lot of new girls that are new to drag. They're baby queens, they're younger, and nobody wants to work these days. Nobody wants to put in the work to like really succeed at Drag Race. They're like, I want to go on Drag Race and be pretty. And I feel like that's where we're failing. Too much booty, not enough star booty. Okay. That's new. We haven't even talked about her outfit. Oh, that's not. I thought this was cute. Yeah, I think it was gorgeous. I don't have anything to say about it. I'm just like not pleased with her run on the show, and I'm like, speaking of Star Booty, did you know in the uncut edition of that, RuPaul is literally stepping on some guy's COCK and he CUM S's on her foot? Moving on. I thought this was the better of. Let me go and watch. You are so. I love learning. See, I would do Raw on Drag Race because I'd be like, RuPaul, how was that one film in Star Booty? How was that one scene in Star Booty? I've seen the uncut edition. Watch party wet. Okay, now we're going a little too far. Thank you, thank you, thank you, everybody. I appreciate the compliments. Thank you so much. I tried to do like this caftan thing, but my corset isn't, and then my breast is. Sorry, I felt like Delta Work doing that. You know, on Delta Work's show where she just goes, oh, demonetized. She is so. I love her. I love that woman. Literally, I went to LA one time and I could have been on IMHO and Delta Works show because I was in the area. Darby literally invited me to do something and hang out with them or whatever. And then Delta, I replied to her story and they said, let's put something together. And literally, I don't know what happened, but like everything just fell apart. I was this close to doing 2 of my dream gigs. We started a petition here. Anyways, Jules, I thought this was okay. Something I gotta say is that this week, last week, and the cake runway, everybody is doing the obvious, and it's actually crazy. It's like literally insane. Like, I don't know, when you think parasol, the runway is parasols, by the way. It's like umbrellas or whatever. When you think this, right? Obviously, immediate thought: funeral, vampire, or like kawaii aesthetic, like Lolita, right? I would do none of those. Go out there. Like, do something completely different. I thought this was successful, but the fact that there was another one on the runway of like funeral, and then Crystal Envy did something basic like she does every week. I was like, come on, guys. Like, if we're gonna be like this with plastic surgery looks, if we're gonna do Marie Antoinette, we need to stop with like, when you're on Drag Race, like, think outside the box. And I do think this was successful because she was gorgeous. And I honestly, this is gonna sound so shady, some of her looks have been better, and I feel like this is one of the looks that she did not spend a lot of money on and knew she could make it work because it's a black dress and gorgeous, and it's really about the umbrella. So I feel like there wasn't a lot of thought into this look because she's had better looks, and they're like top tier. But still love it. Don't get me wrong, I love wearing all black. My one critique is that one of my biggest pet peeves in drag is when the eyebrow isn't the right color. So when you're wearing black hair, I want the eyebrow to be stark black, and she had brown eyebrows. That's just like my thing. Obviously with blonde it's different because you can do dark brown because like blonde and like whatever. But like when it's like you're doing like blue hair and you have brown eyebrows, no. Like that doesn't work for me. This is when everybody's gonna pull up the streams of when I had blue hair and blonde eyebrows. But I don't know. It's just something to me that I'm like, little tiny critique, but still gorgeous. I thought this was her best look of the season. Do I gag over it? Not really, but like this is like her best look of the season. I'll give her her 10s. I literally, when I tell you, it is crazy to me that she is so entertaining to me and so funny and so quotable off the show, which is great for longevity, right? Like Cameo posted her because of her Michael Jackson cameos. Like that is hilarious. Like every week she provides new memes for the Drag Race fandom. Like Lee Dawson's gonna be putting them in the recaps. Like we're gonna be using them on Twitter as reaction memes. Like everybody's already doing that. Like she does great off the show, but something isn't fitting with the show, and I think it's literally just the editing. Like they just don't like her or something. Like she's great, like like just something isn't hitting for me. No, she's great. I do think the lip sync was a lip sync. Like I was like when she was doing the duck walking, and she was literally just doing like, huh, huh, huh. I was like, please, like, I'm not really living, but I like the kicks. I like the kicks. I liked when she did a split. Obviously, did more, I thought, than Acacia, but I also, oh, yeah, the wig coming off was something else. I thought it was wild that Acacia was keeping up with Corey when Acacia was walking around the stage. She was blackout drunk. That's so funny though. See, but like, I wish they put that on the show and then I'd be like, I'm entertained. Like, immediately my thoughts change. Like, blackout drunk. Like, they should have been like, Corey, the producer should have been like, how are you feeling during this lip sync? And she was like, well, I'm blackout drunk right now. Like, that would be hilarious. Why don't they do her any services on the show? They just want to clown her, I guess. Corey, Lana, and others were blackout drunk. I live. Yeah, there's about to be an ad, so if you're not a subscriber and you're broke, do something about it. My birthday's coming up. So true. Yeah, I thought the outfit was cute. I agree with Adam Lambert's critique of like taking it up a level, like more of the like fabric to make it a different, I don't know, something a little. If she would have, honestly, I don't know if this would have, I don't know. Maybe the rhinestones, but also, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. The lip sync was, I love that song. Like, why did Adam Lambert kill that? Did y'all know Adam Lambert played Fiorio on Broadway? Just a tidbit. Did you know? That's why he was there for the Wicked thing. But also, how did he play a straight man on Broadway? Well, a love triangle with two women. Okay. Right. Broadway or something, but he was definitely he was part of the show. So yeah. Is he really straight? Well, I think in new adaptations, no. But back in the day, there's only two genders. Well, I mean, there's only two genders in America now, so maybe, yeah. Bisexual people don't exist, non-binary people don't exist, trans people are going back to their gender markers. Yeah, that's why I wore this red lip. I'm in hiding. I'm what did Silky say on like season 11? She was like, I'm a Republican, but I vote Democrat. I'm a registered Republican or whatever. So stupid. Whatever. We're not even talking about the outfit. We'll move on. She changed her shoes for the lip sync. Are these the ugly shoes? Did you know Lady Maga was from my local drag community? She used to go by something like Regina Princess or something, and used to only do like, she would dress up as like a Disney princess and come to like, if you didn't know, I live in Rhode Island or like Boston area. So she used to come to Ego. Ego is my home bar. If you've been to Ego Providence, love you. And I performed there for years, and it was like, it's like my home bar. Like my ex-boyfriend works there. Onyx is there like every week. Anya Nerva is there the next week. Like, it's a great bar. Anyways, she would used to come to the gigs in Boston and Rhode Island and Ego and the Eagle or whatever, and do like Disney princess gigs before she went to like Lady Maga. Like, she's a local. I'm like, yeah, let's get her on the pod. Let's get her in the studio. Let's get her to do Drag Race reviews. Can we book a cameo? Yeah, I don't know what happened to her, but the Rhode Island scene is weird. Like, I remember to this day, trigger warning, there was an incident in the drag community here locally that literally I have been gaslighted to think that it has not happened. Trigger warning, pedophilia, I guess. There was this one person that got exposed on like one of those, like, this one drag queen, right? She got exposed for like meeting up with a minor or whatever, but like, you know, those people that pretend to be minors and then catch you in the video. Yeah, I saw the video of her getting caught. Then it got taken down everywhere, and everybody's just excused her and like pretended it didn't happen. And I'm like, Mama, I saw the live. Like, she got exposed. Like, what's going on? There's a lot of weirdos in the area. Her name's like me just spilling this tea. Like, oh my god. But yeah, I don't even. There's a lot of weirdos in the area. Lady Maga, her. I think she like has makeup. Whatever. I'm fine. I thought it was. I like the beat. Okay, before I say anything, I love you, Lana, and I will forever love you, sister. But it's really hard to sit in a room of gay people and my brother and my family and the things she's doing on the show, and I just have to sit there like when she said, "I'm wearing this wig because Lex lent it to me and I'm hoping I can get my first win." I went, um I love you, sis. Please, like, don't embarrass me right now. Like, my brother was at the screen, like, oh, like, we both looked at each other, like, oh, like, I was like, you should be happy to be safe. Okay, another critique. I love Lana. Like, please, like, don't unfollow me or hate me or whatever. I understand. Did anybody else find it weird that she didn't wear breastises when she was assigned the role Tin Woman? And I know she like likes supermodel flat boobs, but I was like, that bodysuit was so tight I could see her nipples. I was like, a little insert or something. I don't know. I don't know. Like I just Oh, I didn't watch Untucked. Was Untucked good? I only saw the clip of Marietti being a hateful bitch, but just a little titty. And then on the runway too, I was like, oh, this would have been so good if she wore some breasts. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Like I used to not wear breastises or whatever. Maybe it didn't fit right, and that's why she didn't wear breasts because it was so tight. Well, Jules had to wear boobs for the like. I honestly, I know we already talked about Jules in the challenge, and I kind of moved on. She should have won the fucking episode. I don't know what the fuck that judging was. She should have won the episode. There's no way the editors can convince me she didn't win. There's no way. Oh my god, why is my thing not working? All the black outfits on the runway read purple. I don't think that I mean I see that, but yeah, I guess. Kind of like on that one season of Drag Race where it was like that obnoxious purple light. I genuinely think she should have won. And the fact that they said Anya and Jules were safe and Susie was towards the top with Sam, I was like, what? That was bananas to me. I was like, what is actually happening? I love this. I didn't, you know what I didn't like? You know what I didn't like is when she threw the cane. I said, why did you get rid of that? That's such a fun prop. Oh, I just stabbed myself in the penis. I was like, don't throw it. It's so good. And she threw it so fast. I thought it was cute. Um, yeah, I thought it was hot. I don't really have any critiques. I loved her in that blonde. Yeah, I loved her in that hair. I love the contrast of the platinum blonde and then against the black straps. That was hot. I really don't have a critique on this one. I thought it was really great. She's giving Fortnite NPC from last season. Oh wow. That's definitely an opinion. No, yeah. I was very sad when she took it off. I couldn't tell like did she throw it because her body was supposed to look like the cane? Like she's supposed to be the umbrella? I couldn't put that together, but I thought it was fierce. I think it's probably my winner of the night. I will say I think this is a turning point. I was a Lexi Love stan. I want Lexi Love to win. I would be happy if she wins. But I think she is being... Listen, I'm a Reddit girl, and I went on the Reddit threads and read it all. She's being outperformed fiercely. And it's really sad to see because I want her to win, and it's what we need. We need trans people to be uplifted, but she's being so outperformed right now in almost every challenge. Like the last 3 challenges, she's been outperformed. And I'm like, sister, fight back. Like, do something. Like, the sewing challenge was not great for me. The snatch game was not great for me. And now this challenge, it was very safe. I'm like, sister, go there. And I honestly, I think it's Anya's Drag Race. I really do. After Anya's number in the Rusical, I said, absolutely. Absolutely, this is yours. I have no qualm. I have nothing to say. I did see that. We'll talk during the lip sync. They didn't say anything about the shoe coming off either. And then they cut away from it and then went back, and I was like, oh, she's not. I had to watch the lip sync twice, and I clocked that she wasn't wearing a shoe. Thank you for mentioning that because I was going to forget it. I was literally gagged. I was like, oh my God, they didn't do anything that she lost her shoe. Like, they didn't even close up on it. Because we already went over her. I'm just mentioning it. But yeah. See, I literally love Lydia, and she's my beautiful baby. I love her. I just think that, like, some of these outfits, you could tell that, because she makes all of her stuff, but I wish she would have, like, put it on something else, saw it, and then adjusted it. Like, everything is almost there for me, but it just needs, like, an editing eye of, like, seeing it on someone else. I thought it was a hot look. I do think she should have had, like, breasts. Like, she should have wore a breastplate and had, like, boobs. But I know she likes the flat body tee. Her body is hot. No body shaming. Yeah, her face is always covered. And if she lifted it up a little, it would have been sickening. And it makes me sad because she has one of the best faces. She has one of the best mugs. Like, I want to see her face. But again, I think it's because when she puts the stuff on, she's making it and she doesn't see it in a mirror or like it traveling. Like, it probably did not travel well. It probably like disrupted. Like, it was probably up here and we could see her face, and then traveling with it, it fell or something. I don't know. That's because I literally know that's probably what happened. I can't confirm that because I don't know. Like, if Onyx gets on Drag Race or Zayn gets on Drag Race, y'all will have all the tea from me, and hopefully that's season 18. But I don't know, like, I will be at Onyx and Zayn's house, like, helping them rhinestone outfits and shit. But, like, I don't know what happened in the process with Lydia, but I do love her, and she is my good sister. See, this is what we needed from her episode 1. The runways are finally there, and that's why I'm Team Anya now. Like, I need somebody that has a good fashion eye, good aesthetic, and like they're performing very well. Like, this outfit tends from me. The only critique is on the boot. It did look like a different fabric in the front, but that's because the lighting of the main stage. So I think it's the same boning as the corset, but since the shoes are near the floor, it looks straight black. I thought this was hot. Is she, am I crazy? Is she bald? Why can I not remember if she's bald or not? She's wearing a hat in the confessional. Is she bald? Or does she have like a straight? No, she has like a short, like, buzz cut. Interesting. I'm like, how does she get like these short wigs and they work? Honestly, short wigs for her are beautiful. This is giving new Overwatch skin. This is giving Beekeeper May. But I liked it like that though. I liked that it kind of like reminded me of like bees. Someone should have done a beekeeper or something. I don't know. I think this is like the closest we'll get, but I don't know. I thought it was cute. I liked it. I didn't think it was the best, but like great for like her. Like, I'm glad the fashion level is stepping up. Cause like I'm like really wasn't her fan until this episode because like I haven't seen the star rise, and she's definitely on the rise. Her performance in the episode was crazy good. Are you kidding? Like, the fact that I love Sam, and like Sam Star is my good Twinkie baby boy, and I literally am in love with him at a drag. But like the fact that he won, I was like, oh, like, and Anya was like on fire during that performance. Like, I would rewatch that and be like, wow, like, insane. She can win almost every episode, which is crazy. And like, I don't know. Yeah, her looks are definitely a miss. I think this is one of her better ones, but I am a big. I think she could win, and I think she should with the trajectory we're on right now because she is outperforming everybody. I didn't think that episode 1. I say it now, episode 8. Speaking of episode 8, episode 9, we have still so many bitches left. Like, oh my god. This is a chop. This was a chop. Chop. Chop, 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 chop. This is not good for me. Nope. Did not love it. I just. She's painting like she is 70 years old, guys. She can paint like supermodel. I know this wig needs to, like, the way she said signature hair. I said, Mama, that's because you only brought a couple wigs. Like, take this wig off. No, because like I need her in a wig like kind of like this, but like tighter to the hair. Like she needs like smaller hair, and I know that's crazy for like drag queens to say, but like something about how it's sculpted so far. It's like up here, and then it goes down, and it's like out here. You know what I'm saying? Like she's so small because she's a little baby twink. She's a little baby twink, so young. I'm like smaller proportions. The makeup could be improved a little bit. And I know I say because I don't look great. Trust me. I know. Stones, glasses, houses, fuck shit. I don't know. I'm not my tens. I get it. But like I want her makeup. I feel like she paints like this way. Like she's painting like straight across. I need her to paint up. Like more up. More snatched up. She's painting straight line of cloth. Like blending this way. I need her to go up with it. Does that make sense? Up. Do. Up. Do. Red. Yellow. Or whatever. Whatever she said. That's a deep cut Drag Race reference. I thought it was cute, don't get me wrong, but I just like, well, also, y'all are saying that this is the one she borrowed from Trinity. Apparently, Trinity wore this on TV. I'm like, that is crazy that you would just automatically rewear that. I don't know. I'm very bored. I need new ideas. I need something fashion forward. I like how Anya took it to like more of a futuristic way and they talked about it. I kind of needed that for Sam Star. I'm so over this like Southern Belle thing. Honestly, like Southern Belle too, like I feel like could have been more Southern Belle. Like go if you're gonna do Southern Belle with the parasol, go there like saloon skirt, like traditional, like go there. Yeah, just something. Like don't get me wrong, it's stunning. Like I think it's a pretty dress. I would wear it. But I just needed something else from her because we've gotten it for 7, 8, 9 weeks now. I just like she paints so much older, you guys. Like I want her to paint younger. That's all I want. I want her to paint younger. I want her in a human hair wig to the floor. I want her in a bodysuit with thigh highs. Like I want to see her do sex. And I know that's basic too, but I want to see her in black thigh highs, black gloves, black bodysuit, rhinestone, human hair to the floor, like sex kitten. I feel like we haven't gotten, but she's so tiny and twinky too. I'm like, you could do it. I don't know. Hopefully we see something like that. I'm surprised they didn't read her down for this. Michelle would have read her down for this in season 14. What did y'all think of this? Let me ask the audience before I comment. Adjusting myself to be more comfortable. I didn't hate it. I didn't. Mummy looking ass look. Oh, you're hateful. from her Iron Maiden look to this. Yeah, definitely a rough decline. I honestly, I think this is a great look, but I just kind of needed it a little more elevated. Like you could tell that was a parasol umbrella from like the dollar store that she rhinestoned. Like you can see the sticks. Is that too much? Like you can see that it's like wooden. I wouldn't say mall. I just like I would have loved. Honestly, it could be really pretty as a dress, but I know she's already worn a lot of dresses. Would have been pretty as a dress. I would have liked even like, you know, like Raja did on the cake challenge in season 3, that she had like the panniers that made it look like a different silhouette. I just think there's a different silhouette it could have been with it. I honestly think it's gorgeous. Like I would wear this for one of our game shows, like Game Awards or something like that. Like I would wear it. Not sure I would wear it on Drag Race, but I do think it's really pretty. I do like nude colors. I think they're pretty. I just think this could have been taken up a level. Like I feel like it could have been taken a little further, if that makes sense. Like she could have put like the rhinestones all up her leg and like make it look like a boot or something. The bare leg is just like a it's just crazy. I don't know. But the winner for me, Sam I'm just kidding. After I dragged her, could you imagine? I think I'm gonna give it to Lexi. I'm gonna be honest. Out of all of the ones that I see, it was either Lexi or Acacia for me that I would have wore and like bought. But I don't know. I have seen online that the girls are posting their looks. Do we want to see me review those in unison with these? Or are we just fine with what's on the TV show? Because I'm going to be honest with you, some of the girls that have been eliminated, I will not be nice. Because some of the outfits are not great. Yeah, I've seen them, and my statement still stands. um, yeah. So I appreciate y'all watching. We're gonna do something else on Twitch right now. We're gonna shift over to something else. But thank you guys for watching the Drag Race review. My birthday is coming up, so please, if you like the reviews, let me know in the comments below. Thank you all so much on YouTube for supporting and liking and commenting. Make sure you guys are sharing your favorite clips from this. Hi, Gibby. So it can stay in the algorithm. Make sure you're commenting, liking, so it stays in the algorithm because trans people are being taken out of the algorithm. But we're gonna do something else on Twitch today, actually. I'm not just gonna do this today. I know I said I was taking a little break, but I do want to soft launch something. So if you guys are interested in that, look at the other YouTubes on the other videos on the channel. So they'll be in a separate video. Yeah, we're gonna do a little test streamy. But bye, YouTube. Oh, I keep like sitting on my nuts. This is Untucked. Everybody, welcome to Untucked. Um, I need to switch every. Oh my god, I really hurt myself with that corset. Like, it banged into my nut. Oh! um, I need to go change my outfit. I don't know if I'm gonna change my wig. I'm gonna go change really quick. Oh my god, I literally am dying. Oh. Okay, I'm gonna switch. I need to move things around because this is set up for the Drag Race review. I will be back in like 5 to 10 minutes. I'm very excited to stop launch these series so we can get back into streaming. So I just want to like see if like this will do well in the algorithm. You know what I mean? So I will Be right back. I mean, like 5-10 minutes. Where is my mouse?